so let's talk about first, after we complete the initial part of part one, the two questions, what do you do? Do you work, or are you a student? Or maybe they'll ask you about your home or where you're living. After that, you'll go into the rest of part one. And the total time for part one is 4 to 5 minutes from the beginning to the end. So you will be speaking for 4 to 5 minutes in part one. Remember, it's general information about yourself. So after that, there's many different topics that you can talk about. For this today, we're going to be talking about family. And here's one question. Do you come from a big family? Now, there's two ways to answer this. Usually in part one, it's a shorter answer. So we expect that. But in a shorter answer, you still want to have a reason or maybe an example. So let's look at two ways we can answer that. So do you come from a big family? Yes, I do. It's very short, but it answers the question, but you're not really developing your answer a little bit. So you want to go maybe a little bit more. And I've put some key vocabulary up here that you might be able to use. Some words that are very familiar with the family, maybe an extended family. And in Vietnam, many people live with their extended family. Not as much today as in the past, but many families in the past, and some today still, live, sometimes the grandparents, the parents, the children all live in the same house, and even sometimes maybe the aunts and uncles and the cousins. And in some parts of Vietnam, sometimes a whole village could be one family, one large family. So maybe in your family, you live in a big family, that might be an extended family. So that's a larger family. If you don't, maybe you live in a nuclear family, which is more modern today, and that's where it's just the mom, the dad, and the children. Where I come from, most of the families are nuclear families. So in America, maybe most families would be in a nuclear family. So now when you're answering this question, you can say, yes, I do, or no, I don't, which is a short answer. But for me, maybe I would say something like, well, yes, I come from a very large family. My mother has 4 sisters and 5 brothers, so they have 9 children in the family. So I have many cousins, many aunts, and many uncles. So I live in a large family. Now, maybe because you're from Vietnam, maybe your whole village is all your family. So yes, you live in a big family. And then again, if you're going to answer that longer question with a nuclear family, say, well, no, my family's rather small. It's just my mom, my dad, and my brother and sister. Or maybe my siblings. So that's another word you might want to know, sibling. So your siblings are your brothers and sisters. So siblings means your brothers and sisters. Or another word that's good that's associated with family is, because maybe you're in a smaller family, maybe you're the only child. So you would say that I'm an only child. So that's another family term that you could use, only child. So that's 2 different ways that you can answer a question. Again, your answers in part 1 are usually shorter, but you still want to make sure that you show your vocabulary and show your ability to use the English. Okay? So give it a try. Okay, let's continue on with some more questions about the family. How do you get along with your family? Well, basically the short answer is, well, I get along well with my family, or I don't get along well. Or I don't, so a short answer is something like that. But if you say, I don't get along well with my family, you must answer with a because to make it a little longer. So maybe, how do you get along with your family? Well, I don't really get along well with my family because now I go to university, so I'm not home very much. Or something like you don't live with your family anymore, so you don't really see them as much. So something like that for a shorter answer. If we look for more of a longer answer and we want to try to use some more vocabulary, we can look at some of these phrases and maybe try to work some of those phrases into the answer. So again, you could say, well, I get along very well with my family. We're very close knit, or we're able to build relationships over the years. So my mom is my best friend, or my dad is my best friend. I usually hang out with my brothers and sisters because we're very close in age, or we've always played together because our mom and dad work all the time. So maybe you have a very good relationship with your brothers and sisters. Maybe you play a lot of sports, or maybe sport with them. I know a lot of kids talk about badminton and football, and maybe table tennis or ping pong. So maybe talk about some sports. Or even you share chores, which are, if you want to think about that, those are weekly or daily duties, things you have to do. So maybe I usually do the chores with my brother, or do the chores with my sister. We usually sweep the house, or we usually do the dishes, something like that. Maybe those are ways that you can build your relationship or form a strong bond with your other family members. So these are ways that you can maybe talk a little bit more. Try to think of things that you do in your house. Okay? Okay, to continue our topic about family, here's another question. Has the size of the family changed in your country? Again, the shorter answer, something like, well, yes, I think the size of the family has changed. I think today the families are much smaller. And again, we have a vocabulary like smaller because we're making a comparison. So it's good to use those comparative words when you're making a comparison. So we're talking about today and the past. When you're answering that question, that's a very simple, short answer. But then if we look at some of these other vocabulary words like larger or currently, overpopulation, words like in-laws. In-laws are when you're married to someone and it's your mother-in-law, or your father-in-law, or your brother-in-law. In other words, it's not your actual family. It's not your brother or sister. It's your wife's brother or sister, or your wife's mother and father. So those are your in-laws. So, and then breadwinner, I put this one here. In the past, many men were the main breadwinner. But in today's society, both mother and father work, or both male and females work in the family. So there isn't just one breadwinner. So this is a good word. Breadwinner means the main person who brings home the money in the family. That's what the breadwinner is. So let's look at a longer answer. So maybe something like this. Well, currently, due to the overpopulation of the world, the former idea was that there was only one breadwinner in the family, but in today's world, there are usually multiple breadwinners in the family. So both mom and dad go out to work every day. So this is a way that you can add some more vocabulary into it and relate it to the rest of the world. And again, it's about your country, so maybe the traditions in your country are a little different. So you want to explain what those traditions are in your country to better give the examiner an understanding of what you believe in your country. Okay?